Okay, I'm going to take 5 minutes to explain you how to do an experiment in which you can test the conservation of energy. Okay, conservation of energy is a principle that it's well known in physics. So one way to test this principle is by using single elements, a car, a ramp, some strands to have an inclined plane, and the only problem is to determine the speed. Okay, so we're going to see how to do this experiment, and uh, I hope that you get the most from this explanation, okay, to perform your experiment very well. So the first thing we need to know is how to calculate kinetic energy. Okay, so you just need to remember that kinetic energy depends on the mass and the speed to the second power. Okay, and on the other hand, you need to know how to determine potential energy. So potential energy depending on the weight, mass times gravity acceleration, and the height at which the object is. So in this case, what we're going to do is to set a strand. Okay, so I have a strand, and I'm going to set on the strand a ramp. Or a rail. Okay, so we have the rail here, and I'm going to put a car on the rail. So as you can see, it's easy to measure the height with a ruler. So you can measure here with a ruler the height. So I have the height. I can obviously have a scale here to measure the mass of the car. And if I determine the mass and the height, I can say that gravity acceleration is 9.8 meters per square second. So with these three magnitudes, I can have the potential energy. Now, this car is going to move. So you're going to see it moving across the ramp. And when the car gets here, okay, at the bottom of the ramp, it's going to have a speed. Okay, or a velocity. So the idea is to measure this speed in order to get the kinetic energy at the end of the motion. So the question is how? How could you measure the speed of the car? So in the laboratory, in many laboratories, you can have some radars that measure the speed of the car. So you just need a radar to measure the speed of the car. So you can put the radar here. Radar. Sometimes the radar is connected to some device. Okay, the device that I know is called LabQuest 2, but there could be many devices. And the radar is going to take data of the position and the velocity and sometimes the acceleration of the car. So the radar is going to tell you the value of the velocity when the car gets here. You just need to measure the distance of the rail or set a distance for you, like, okay, I'm going to measure it when it's at 90 centimeters or 50 centimeters and measure the new height in order to get difference of heights and get another potential. But the best will be that you do the complete distance of the ramp, so you don't have to do these subtractions and additions. You just have the height and the kinetic energy. Okay, and sometimes the radar just show you all the motion of the car, so you just need to check in order to have reliability of your data. You just need to check that when you got the data and you put it on a graph, the graph of distance and time is nonlinear. Because if it's nonlinear, means that the car is accelerating. You can see it in another video about trends. And if you can see that the trend is nonlinear, means that the car is moving and the radar is checking or it's measuring the velocity of the car. So you can go to the velocity chart and check what is the velocity. So with this information, you're gonna have height of the car, the height, and with the radar you can have the velocity. Okay, so if you have height and velocity, remember to do many trials to change the height in order to measure different velocities. But if you have this information, you can finally have a graph of height and velocity. Okay, remember to apply many trials for velocity in order to get more reliability, to discard some data, and with this table it's possible to test the conservation of energy. So that's the experiment. I hope that you can do it, that you can test it. Maybe you don't have radar, but you can like learn how to do a radar using another stuff. There's some things about Arduino that you can do, or if you're at school, so have fun with the materials that you have in class. Okay, so essentially this is how you can test conservation of energy. I hope that you understand. If you don't, send me a comment. I will tell you how to do the experiment. Maybe later I will do the experiment with some radars and stuff. Okay, have a nice day and hope that you enjoyed this video. Bye bye.